So I wanted to show you the disassembly of the tender so you get a handle on what we have. Here you can see I loosened this screw so it appears to be hanging down, but if I push that up you can see how snug that base gets. The back fits pretty tight as it is. Okay, try to get you enough light. You can see I added some struts across the back. One of my prototypes split lengthwise and I wanted to prevent that on any of these, so I added that bit of material. You can see these trucks are smooth, they pivot, they spin, and well, they used to. I can see that one has a little problem, but I can fix that. The little wire is supposed to be over there on that. Now it spins. Okay. You can see we have the red on the same side, so all these wheels pick up power. The coupler is bolted in. I had to do a little machining or a little grinding on that connector for the shafts just to make sure it was smooth and missing. That coupler is working great. They screw into a pin, and in between the pin and the truck is a spacer to keep them loose, and I've opened up the top side so they can pivot side to side and back and forth, so it should handle some pretty okay, rough, I would say uneven track, we'll put it that way. I made a notch in here. I may have to increase the size of the notch. I found a little bit of pinching I wasn't too happy about. I'll try to show you how that looks when we get to it. Now I'm going to ease this thing out, try to, with one hand, and hopefully it does what it's supposed to, and it did. Isn't that lovely? It's like hatching an egg, a baby. So you can see I've elongated that opening. Originally it was just a single notch, but part of my problem down here is, as you can see, there's a pinch on that blue wire. I don't know if you can see that very closely or not, but you can see there is a pinch, and that blue wire drives the engine, so I've got to do something. This is a boss, that thing. I added that boss so I had more thread for this because I didn't want to pull it out, but my screw doesn't even come up to the top of it, so I can round these edges. I got pretty squared edges on the sides, and these wires can get pinched. This blue one seems to be taking the worst of it. I caught it when I was putting it together. I didn't look at it, but I'm going to make sure that's in good shape. These all seem to be okay. But since now, instead of 2 wires or 4 wires, I'm going to have 8 wires heading to the front, I'm going to split them right and left here and have one go down each side of the tongue, have them go under the tongue, and then they're going to come up behind the firewall and go into the engine. I'll explain that to you. I've done this before on other engines, and it helps keep everything real neat for us. Sorry about that focus. I got to watch it. But you can see how I've had to run the wire. Oh, these are your lights. These are your tail light power, reverse light. I'll explain this. Explain something to you. I have a light. I don't think I brought it over yet. No. It's a tail light. Wait a minute. No, that's interior. It's a tail light that is red on one side and green on the other. I also have another light that I kind of think is cool, and it is red in one direction and white in another. So I was kind of thinking about mounting the red lights in with diodes, so when I want it for reverse backup, the white comes on, but when I want it a normal running mode, the red comes on. I'm not sure. I don't think I can use this fittings that you have on there now to do that. I'm not sure about the fittings you have on there now. I'm struggling to come up with a good answer for that. In any case, what I'm going to do, the reason I took this off now is I have to adjust my volt regulator back here. You can see there's a little gray, silver gold screw there. If I was real smart, I'd drill a hole in the back of this tender and just reach in, but I wasn't quite sure. But in any case, but also you can see the wires have been tidied up. The lengths have been shortened. I've got them tucked away so that it fits inside really nice. I've partially assembled or glued in some of the features, so they don't move anymore. They're pretty snug. and everything will stay together. This is the antenna for the wireless, so it has to stay up above everything, and I put it in a loop so it'll be right under the coal, and people seem to think that's the best position for it. I'll work on these tail lights while it's apart, and I'll try to get something back and tell you what I'm up to. This motion back here is all great. It's got a lot of movement, no pinching, and I think that's going to work out fine. These wires are not real friendly. They're stiff. Okay, these are noodly. These are exactly what we want. I'm going to have to do something here. I'm going to have to put in something here and give me that flex wire. I only have it in black. That'll get rid of that pinch for one thing, but it's also going to create, you know, connectors, so pain in the butt. They'll just be joints, you know, like this. It'll be wire soldered together, and then the shrink wrap over it. I see a little shrink wrap has come loose there. I'll tidy that up with some tape or something so there's no risk of a short. Everything's running real well. Sound is good. I tuned it up. I turned it up. It was too loud. Turned it down. It's too low. Put it kind of in what I thought was a good spot. This is not going to be a real bodacious loud, but it is not an Atlantic. It sounds more like a Pacific. Okay. The only other way we could do anything was to put some holes in this thing, and only a few people do that for display engines where they really want the audience to know they're coming. I think this, you try it and you'll be able to work out what you want to do with it or not. So anyway, I got it apart. I'm going to make my adjustment, put it back together, and see if I can't make my smoke live. Meanwhile, I'm going to go upstairs and see if that part came so I can actually add the smart. This thing is regulated at 7.5 volts. I'm going to take it down to 6.5. The heater coil just took off. I mean, it literally took off. So I've got to be very careful with that. That'll destroy the smoke system. So I'm going to turn this down a little more, plus get the smart smoke going, and that'll take care of that. I've had a lot of these out there, and they work real well, so I'm not nervous. I just need to get the right components in, and they're on order. Okay, so that's what we did. That's the tender side of things. The engine side of things, you know, I started to do this DC conversion. I didn't quite finish it. I got to add a couple more magnets in there to get the full power out of it. I'm going to do that next if my part doesn't arrive. I'm going to work on that this afternoon. If this is either noisy or problematic in any way, then I'm going to suggest we go to the DC can, something like that. They're very reliable. They're very quiet. They're very smooth. $35. If I can convert this, I would have been like no cost. So I'm going to see what I can do. I'll give it my best shot, and I'll let you listen to it, and we'll make a decision jointly. Okay? And there's the chuffer board. It's ready to go, and the smart stuff is on its way, and I've already built 1 or 2 of them, so I know exactly how to put those together. We're going to have some fun. Okay. I'll go back over here and do something serious later. Bye.